makebraceletsblog.com, and I'm finally getting around to shooting a video for you today that I've promised for a while on my blog, because a lot of people have written into me and they've asked how to make these braided waxed Irish linen sparkle bracelets. And they're really fun to make, they're fairly simple, and the best thing is they only require 4 different things to make them. So first of all, we'll start out with the beads, and I like to use a very small 3mm round smooth bead. And they can be found in almost any jewelry supply store, and I like to buy them in quantity of 1,000 or more, so you get a nice price break on them. And then you need some waxed Irish linen, and the linen comes in so many different beautiful colors. Today I'm going to use a red, and it also comes in different thicknesses. This is a 4-ply that I'm going to use because when you're using these really tiny small beads, the 4-ply just makes it fairly simple to string them. You can use a 7-ply, and I did make this particular gray bracelet with it, but I had some beads that were manufactured by a different company, and they had slightly larger holes, and they're a little bit hard to come by. So I would say start out with a readily available 4-ply thread, and that'll be the easiest thread that you can start out with. And then you need some sort of a button closure. I have a Thai silver button. It's just a little flower with a shank on the back of it. And it has a little 3mm center to it, and it echoes the pattern very nice on these bracelets. So this works well for me, but you can use whatever kind of button that you would like to use. And then lastly, you need something to anchor your project onto. So I'm going to use a clipboard today, but you can also use some cardboard or even perhaps a beadboard with a binder clip. Any of those would work just fine. So that's all you need. So let's get started on the bracelet. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is cut 2 pieces of your waxed Irish linen. And the first piece is going to be 2 yards in length, and you're going to make a loop and fold it over. And the second piece is going to be 1 yard in length, and you're going to join it up to the looped end. And you're going to make a little overhand knot. Make sure that you get both the loop and the single piece of the thread through the hole. And be real careful and calculated where you put your knot, because you want your loop to be fairly small, probably no longer than a 1/2 inch. You need to pay attention to the button that you've chosen for your bracelet when you're making the size of the loop. And once you put that knot in the waxed Irish linen, it's really not going to go anywhere. So that loop size looks pretty good because I have a nice small little button. And when you get that all finished, then you're just going to stick it under your clip. And then we are going to transport ourselves back to the days of camp when perhaps you made friendship bracelets. And you're going to separate your strings out like that. And you're going to make a really nice, all grown up, chic designer friendship bracelet. And we're going to start on the center string. And we're going to take your first bead and slip that on, and we're going to push that up nice and tight to the knot. And the first bead is the toughest to get into place, but once you get that one set, the rest of them just sort of flow. And if you can braid, you can make this bracelet. So we're going to take the 3 threads, and we're going to take the right over the center and then the left over the center. Okay? And then that bead's going to move around a little bit, but take your finger underneath and kind of pop that bead up to the top between those threads. And then we're going to anchor the bead, and you're going to take the right thread again over the center and the left over the center. And that'll make it nice and tight. And then you're ready to take that second bead and put it down the center thread once again. Slip it up nice and tight, and you're just going to repeat that pattern of the braid, the right over the center, the left over the center. Make sure that bead's popped up to the top, and then anchor it with another one, right over center and left over center. The good thing about the Irish linen is the wax, and it allows you to sort of mold the threads and pop those beads up on top so that it almost looks like the beads are floating, and that's what gives this bracelet a really, really cool look. And then I'll do one more with you, and then I'm going to go off on my own and do a little work, and we'll come back together and finish it off. So I've pushed that third bead up tight, right over center, left over center, pop the bead up to the top, anchoring it again with the right over the center and the left over center. So there you can see that's starting to take shape, and I will be back in just a few minutes and we'll put the button on together. Okay, I've strung enough beads now that I am able to wrap the bracelet around my wrist 3 times. And make sure you test it on your wrist so that you have the length that you want. Actually, this is probably a little bit bigger than I normally make it, but it's probably good for the average wrist size. And clip your bracelet back underneath so that you have an anchor point. And we're gonna go ahead and just tie off the bottom of your bracelet. So I've strung my last bead, and I have 2 braids beyond that last bead, and now I'm just going to take these threads and tie a knot in it, all 3 of them. And again, do it very carefully and slowly so that that knot ends up being right near the end of your last bead. You want to pull it nice and tight. There you go. And then we're going to take your button, whatever you've chosen. I'm going to separate my threads a little bit. And we're going to take the 2 outside threads and put them together and leave 1 thread out. And I'll show you why I did that. But I'm going to string both of those threads through the button shank. And then I'm going to take the other thread and tie it together in a nice knot on the button shank. And this button is going to be real close to the end of that last bead that you strung. And just take it and tie it one more time so you're sure you have a nice secure knot. And that's all there is to it. Now you can just clip off those extra threads fairly close to the knot and go back up to your loop side, and remember you have that little string sticking out, and we're going to clip that nice and clean and close to the other one so you just have a single knot sticking out. And that's it. You can wrap it around your wrist and put the button on and you're good to go. So that's how you make a waxed Irish linen beaded bracelet.